Sometimes life throws you curveballs that make you question if this is really happening to you. One minute you're living an ordinary life, working, making plans, thinking everything's under control. The next, bam, everything shatters. But the strangest part? Sometimes you build something entirely new and unexpected from those ruins. My name is Andrew. I'm 42, and I want to tell you the story that flipped my life upside down. It happened 3 years ago, but even now when I think about it, something twists inside me. Not from pain anymore. More like a wheat how unpredictably things can turn. It was an ordinary Thursday in March. I remember because we were preparing quarterly reports at work. As chief accountant for a construction company, I was buried in numbers and paperwork. Working late was normal for me. Lena, my wife, was used to it. We'd been married 15 years, and our daughter Katie was in 9th grade. That day I finished early around 7 p.m. I decided to surprise Lena. I stopped by a flower shop and bought a bouquet of the pink peonies she loved. I pictured us having dinner together, catching up. Lately, we'd barely talked, both busy with our own lives. Lena worked as an administrator at a medical center with a packed schedule. Flowers in hand, I drove home in high spirits, imagining Lena's surprise. Maybe we'd even go to a restaurant. It had been ages. I walked up to our 5th floor apartment, fumbled for my keys, and found the door unlocked. Strange. Lena always locked it when home alone. I stepped inside, called her name. Silence. I walked down the hall, checking rooms. Empty living room, empty kitchen. Maybe she was resting in the bedroom. I approached the slightly open door and heard voices. Lena talking, laughing. A man's voice. Unfamiliar. My heart did a strange flip. Not jealousy, just confusion. Who could that be? We rarely had guests, especially on weekdays. I pushed the door wider and looked inside. Honestly, what I saw still feels foggy in my memory. Lena sat on the bed. Beside her was a man around 35 in a suit. They were dressed, but the intimacy was palpable. He was stroking her hand. She was looking at him with that look. The look she hadn't given me in years. I stood frozen in the doorway, peonies in hand, unable to process it, like a movie scene where time stops. Then Lena looked up and saw me. Her face went chalk white. The man turned, jumped up. Chaos erupted, him grabbing his things, Lena stammering excuses I couldn't hear over the static roaring in my ears. All I remember saying was, "I'll wait in the kitchen." I walked out, put the flowers in a vase, sat at the table. My hands shook, not from anger, but shock. 10 minutes later, the man hurried past the kitchen without a glance. The front door slammed. Lena came in 5 minutes later. She sat across from me, staring at the table, silent. So was I. What was there to say? Who was he? How long? Why? All pointless questions now. Finally she looked up. Andrew. I need to tell you something. Her voice was quiet, exhausted. I know how this looks, but it's not what you think. What do I think? I asked. She hesitated. His name is Oliver. He's a doctor at my clinic. We were just talking about work, life. He's divorcing his wife. It's hard for him. You know how you realize people lie not to deceive others, but because they can't face the truth themselves, even alone? Lena clearly felt something for this Oliver, but tried convincing us both it was just friendship. Lena, I said softly, I'm not blind or stupid. If you want honesty, let's be honest. She cried, silent tears. Then she told me everything. They'd met 6 months ago when he joined her clinic. Started as colleagues, he confided about his failing marriage. She supported him. Feelings deepened. I didn't plan this, she wept. It just happened. Nothing physical, just talking. Lunches. Today he came over because his divorce finalized. He was devastated. I was comforting him. Listening, I searched for my own feelings. Anger, hurt, jealousy. Strangely, relief. Like a weight lifted. See, Lena and I had become roommates lately. Polite, caring, but the spark was gone. We worked hard, came home exhausted, talked logistics, groceries, weekend plans, Katie's school. Our glances held habit, not passion. Lena must have sensed it too, seeking elsewhere what we lacked at home. "Lena," I said when she finished, "be honest. Do you love him?" She met my eyes for a long moment, then nodded. "Yes." "And me?" "I respect you, value you. You're a good man, a wonderful father, but what I feel for Oliver, we haven't had that in years. Truth doesn't always wound. Sometimes it liberates." Right then, I realized I hadn't loved Lena romantically for years either. I loved her as a person, Katie's mother, my life companion, but not as my wife. We were coasting on inertia, convenience. We talked in the kitchen until dawn. When we drifted apart, what we'd felt but feared to say. That family isn't just obligation, it's feeling, and feelings can't be forced. By morning, we'd decided. Divorce, civilly, no scenes, for Katie's sake. Lena wanted to try with Oliver. I just wanted to start over. We shielded Katie initially. I moved in with my friend Victor for a few weeks while we planned how to tell her calmly. Kids are smarter than we think. She'd sense the tension. Those first weeks apart were hard. Not from missing Lena, but breaking 15 years of routine waking in the same apartment, breakfast at the same table, seeing the same faces. Suddenly, everything changed. Victor, an old college buddy and bachelor, understood. His downtown 2-bedroom had space. At first I felt like a teenager shipped off to relatives. Nothing was mine. Slowly, I adjusted. Work distracted me. Evenings, Victor and I talked life. He'd had serious relationships, never married. Sharing stories helped me process. Katie took the news calmer than expected. When Lena and I sat her down, she listened intently, asked questions. No tears, no drama. Later, alone, she said, "Dad, I saw you and Mom weren't happy. You thought you hid it, but it showed. Better to be honest with yourselves and each other. My 15-year-old daughter's wisdom stunned me. We agreed she'd stay with me weekends, Lena weekdays. Her school was closer to our old place. 2 months passed. Life stabilized. New routines, new habits. Then came the moment that flipped everything again. Friday night. Katie was with me for the weekend. We decided on Italiana, family-friendly spot near Victor's place with decent pasta and pizza. Nothing fancy. We arrived around 7 p.m., not crowded. We took a window table. Katie scanned the menu, chatted about school. I listened, grateful we'd stayed close despite the divorce. Then I spotted familiar silhouettes at a corner booth. Lena and him Oliver from our bedroom. Laughing, talking across a candlelit table with wine. Romantic! My first instinct was to leave, spare them awkwardness. Spare us. But Katie had ordered. Running felt childish. We were adults. We could be civil. Lena noticed me 10 minutes later, flustered at first, then a hesitant wave. I nodded back. Oliver turned, nodded too. Katie asked who they were. "Mom's new friend?" She clarified. "Yeah, something like that." "Okay," she said, and went back to her pasta. We finished, got ready to leave. Oliver approached. "Sorry to interrupt. Could we talk? Just a minute?" Katie went to the restroom. We were alone. "Andrew," he said, "I know this is awkward. I apologize for that day at your home. It was wrong of me." I studied him. Average-looking guy, but open, honest eyes. Calm, neither fawning nor arrogant. "Oliver," I said, "what's done is done. Lena and I split amicably. We share a daughter. I want everyone happy. If Lena's happy with you, I'm glad." He nodded. "I care deeply about Lena and Katie. I know she's your daughter. I won't try to replace you or push you out. I just want you to know. My intentions are serious." In that moment, I felt no anger or jealousy toward him. Just gratitude. He'd taken responsibility for the happiness of a woman I'd once loved, but couldn't make happy anymore. And he was doing it openly. We shook hands. Katie caught up by the door. "Dad, what did Mom's friend say? Just introducing himself. Seems decent. And you're not mad at Mom?" I stopped, looked at her. "Katie?" People make mistakes, change, realize they're on the wrong path. Your mom isn't bad. I'm not bad. We just realized we didn't make each other happy. Life's too short for unhappiness. She hugged my arm. You're wise, Dad. Trying, sweetheart. Walking home, I marveled at life's strangeness. 6 months ago, my life felt settled, correct. Work, family, future plans. Now I lived with a buddy. My ex-wife dated another man. And I felt free. Not empty-free, light-free. Like a weight lifted. A week later, Lena called. Needed to talk about something important. We met at a cafe near her work. Andrew, she said. Oliver proposed. I nodded. Congratulations. Did you say yes? Not yet. Wanted your thoughts. My thoughts? Lena, it's your life. If you love him and he loves you, why hesitate? She paused. I'm scared for Katie. How will she feel about a stepdad? Have you asked her? No. Then ask. She's mature. She has opinions. Turned out Katie took the news calmly. She'd met Oliver a few times at Lena's and liked him. He doesn't try to be my dad, she told me later. He's just nice to Mom and me. I have a dad. Lena and Oliver married 6 months after our divorce. Small wedding, close friends, family. I wasn't invited, wouldn't have gone. Katie attended and said it was beautiful. Mom was radiant. Meanwhile, I rebuilt my life. Victor offered me the spare room permanently. He liked having a roommate. I liked the company. We split bills, did our own thing, but talked most evenings, like college. Work went well. I got promoted assistant chief accountant. Better pay. More free time since I no longer commuted from the suburbs where Lena and I had lived. I started hobbies I'd neglected, joined a gym, saw plays, read books gathering dust, reconnected with old school and college friends online. Then, a year post-divorce, a meeting changed everything. A regular workday, buried in project documents. Our secretary popped in. A woman here about accounting services. Private client needs help setting up an LLC. Usually another specialist handled this, but he was on vacation, so I took the meeting. Sent her in. A woman around 35 entered. Business suit, document folder. Irene Sergeyevna, she introduced herself. Sat across my desk, explained her situation. She'd been a sales manager at a major cosmetics firm but wanted her own business, a beauty salon. Had savings, found a location, but struggled with paperwork. Needed help registering the LLC and managing reports. I listened. Outlined required documents, taxes, best setup, standard consultation. But something about her stood out. Not just attractive, though she was. Her energy, confident, driven, yet open and warm. The consult took an hour. At the end, Irene asked if we could take her on. I explained my colleague handled it but was on leave. Could you do it? She asked. I feel comfortable working with you. You explain things clearly. I agreed. My schedule had freed up after a project closed. I could take it on. Our collaboration began. Irene visited weekly. We discussed progress. I helped with reports, tax advice. Gradually, talk drifted beyond business. I learned she'd been divorced 3 years, no kids, left because her ex lacked ambition content with his factory job and TV. She wanted growth, career, travel. You see, she said, I don't mind a simple life. But when someone won't try to change, shows no curiosity, it gets dull. We became strangers sharing an apartment. I shared my story, the split, living with Victor, my plans. She listened, asked questions, judged no one. You handled that incredibly well, she remarked once. Not every man could stay calm after his wife's affair and divorce without drama. What's the point of drama? I replied. Screaming won't bring back feelings. You can't force love. Around 3 months in, our interactions shifted. Irene suggested coffee after a meeting, then lunches at a cafe near the office. We talked work, life, dreams, books, films. With Lena, our last years lacked this. We discussed chores, Katie's life, never shared thoughts, dreams, debated ideas. Every conversation with Irene felt like discovery. She was well-read, well-traveled, interested in psychology, learning languages, not arrogant, eager to listen, learn. Her salon gained traction. She'd researched the market, hired skilled staff, invested in quality equipment, shared expansion plans, sought my financial input. Around 6 months in, I realized I was falling for her. Not youthful infatuation, mature, conscious affection. I loved talking to her, watching her think, solve problems, celebrate wins. I feared confessing. What if she saw this as just business friendship, didn't want to ruin things? Then came the moment that decided everything. December, pre-Christmas. A client at Irene's salon complained about a service, demanded a refund, threatened legal action. A grey area, but stressful. Irene came to my office upset, near tears, explained the situation, asked about legal risks, damage control. We reviewed documents, found no serious fault on her part. The client likely wanted a freebie. I advised how to handle potential complaints, what paperwork to prepare. "Thank you so much," she said afterward. "I don't know what I'd have done without you. You're my lifesaver." "Irene," I ventured, "what are you doing this weekend?" She looked surprised. "A work thing?" "No, not work. I wanted to invite you to the theatre, if you'd like." A pause. She looked at me, surprised, then smiled. "Andrew. Is this a date?" "If you're okay with that, yes." She laughed. "I thought you only saw me as a client." "Only a client? Seriously? Well, you're always so professional, reserved. I thought our chats were just good client service." Turns out she felt the same, but feared showing it, worried I'd think she was leveraging business for personal gain. Female logic? "We saw Chekhov's Three Sisters that Saturday. Classic. Afterward, a cafe. Talked till late. Not work, just us. Likes, worries, dreams." "You know," Irene said as I walked her home, "it's rare to meet a man you can talk to like this. Most try to impress with achievements or stay silent, waiting to be entertained." "And I don't try to impress?" I asked. "You do. But you talk about what genuinely interests you, not what you think should impress a woman. Big difference. We started dating regularly after that, not daily, both busy, but 2 to 3 times a week. Movies, museums, walks, dinners. Things progressed naturally. No rush. We were adults with failed marriage scars. We understood the cost of haste, or maybe just enjoyed being together without labels." Katie learned about Irene 2 months in. I hadn't hidden it, but hadn't rushed an introduction. Wanted to be sure of my feelings first. "Dad," Katie said during a park walk, "when will I meet your girlfriend?" "Want to?" "Sure. Curious what she's like. Mom says you seem happier lately." "Mom said that?" "Yep. Says when you pick me up, you look content. You used to look so serious. People notice more than we think." Irene had brightened my life, made me feel life wasn't over post-divorce, it was restarting. I introduced them a week later, at that same Italian spot where I'd seen Lena and Oliver. Nervous Katie could be harsh if she disliked someone. It went perfectly. Irene didn't try too hard to please or ignore her. Talked to her as an equal. Asked about her journalism interests. Films, books, future plans. "Katie wants to study journalism," I mentioned. "Cool." Irene turned to her. "Print, broadcast, or digital?" "Not sure yet," Katie said. "Want to try everything, see what fits." "Smart. Any practice? School paper? Blog?" "I write for the school paper sometimes, and I have a blog, books and movies. Can I see?" "I'm curious." Katie showed her phone. Irene read attentively, gave sincere feedback on content and design, not just polite chatter. "Dad," Katie said, walking home, "I like your Irene. She doesn't try to be my mom, but she doesn't ignore me, and she's smart. What else do you see? That you love her. Your eyes light up when you look at her. Kids are observant. I hadn't even said love yet. That spring, Irene suggested a vacation together. Her salon was stable. She could leave it for a week or 2. I had vacation days saved. "Where would you like to go?" I asked. "Where have you never been but wanted to?" Lena and I usually vacationed at her parents' summer house or a resort on the Black Sea. No exotic trips, no new horizons. Never been to Europe, I admitted. Always meant to. Never the time, money or something. Then Europe it is. I've done Italy, France. Never Prague. Heard it's beautiful. We spent 10 days in Prague. My first real trip abroad. Irene was the perfect companion. She'd researched routes, sites, but left room for spontaneity. We wandered old streets, cafes, museums, sat on benches watching people. Irene photographed everything. I saw the world anew, realizing how much I'd missed during my predictable family life. "Andrew," she said one evening on our hotel terrace overlooking the lit city, "do you regret divorcing Lena?" "No," I answered instantly. "Why? Sometimes I think you feel guilty. Like you should have fought harder for the family, not let go so easily." She was right. Deep down, I'd felt a real man should have raged, demanded answers, fought. Instead, I accepted it and left. "You know," I said, "I did blame myself at first. Thought maybe I should have tried winning Lena back, talking seriously, starting fresh. Then I realized you can't force feelings back. If love's gone, pleading won't help. Forcing someone to stay? That's not love. That's ego." "Wisely put," she said. "Wish more men thought that. My ex fought the divorce for 6 months, begged, promised to change. When he saw I was serious, he tried to punish me, told mutual friends what a terrible wife I was, how I destroyed the family for my career. How'd you handle that?" "Hard at first. Hurt that the man I'd lived with for 5 years became an enemy. Then I realized if he acted like that, leaving was right. A good person doesn't seek revenge for not being loved." That trip bonded us deeply, not just physically. Spending whole days together reveals compatibility. Irene was perfect for me, independent but accepting of help, smart but humble, beautiful but unpretentious, comfortable silences, effortless conversation. We returned energized. Reality bit back with piled-up work. But a month later came the restaurant scene that inspired this story's title. Irene wanted to expand open a second salon, needed a loan. Banks were wary of small business loans, needed guarantors or collateral. "What if I guarantee it?" I offered. "Andrew, it's serious money. If things go south, you're liable. I believe in you. And your business. Risk feels justified." We went to the bank, got the loan. Irene started hunting for a second location. Things looked bright. Then Lena called, voice frantic. "Andrew, need to meet. Urgently. It's important. What's wrong? Katie okay?" "Katie's fine. It's something else." "Tonight?" We met at a cafe. I told Irene I might be late. She understood. Lena was already there. She looked awful pale, dark circles, trembling hands. "What's happening?" I asked, sitting down. "Andrew," she blurted, "I need a huge favor. I need money. A lot." "How much?" "Why? 300,000. Oliver needs surgery. Urgently. A tumor. Has to be a private clinic. State hospitals have a 3-month wait, and doctors say he can't wait. A massive sum. I didn't have it. My spare cash was tied up in Irene's loan guarantee. Lena, I know it's serious, but I don't have that now." 50,000, Max," she cried. "Andrew, I've got nowhere else to go. My parents can't help. Friends don't have that kind of money. Every day counts." I watched my ex-wife cry. Part of me said, "Not your problem." She chose him. Another part thought, if Oliver dies, Lena's misery hurts Katie. Can't you get a loan? Tried. Oliver's new job, small official income. Mine's too low for the amount. Equity loan on your place? The apartment's in Oliver's name. He's hospitalized, can't sign papers. I didn't deliberate long. "Lena, there's an option. Risky for me." "What?" "I recently guaranteed a loan for someone. Taking another loan risks everything. But I can try." Hope flashed in her eyes. "Andrew, if you do this, I'll be grateful forever. Just understand if things go wrong. If you can't repay, I pay. I could lose everything. We will repay. Promise." Once Oliver recovers, gets a proper job. Next day I went to the bank. explained, asked for a loan against my share of the apartment. Lena and I hadn't officially divided yet. Bankers scrutinized, consulted, finally agreed. I gave Lena the money 2 days later. She wept gratitude, promised repayment ASAP. I told Irene immediately. Hiding it felt wrong if we were building something real. "Andrew," she said, "are you sure they'll repay?" "Honestly? No. Oliver's a doctor, but salary isn't huge. Lena earns less. 300,000 is massive for them. Then why agree?" "Katie, I guess. Don't want her seeing her mom broken." Irene hugged me. "You're a good man." "A foolish one, but good. Oliver's surgery succeeded. Benign tumor. Removed cleanly. Lena updated me. Thanked me profusely. "We'll start repaying as soon as he's back at work," she vowed. But months passed. 1, 2, 3, no money. Lena called with excuses. Oliver needed recovery time, salary delays, unexpected bills. Promised next month. Meanwhile, my problems started. Irene's loan payments were smooth. Her business thrived. But my loan payments bit deep into my salary. I borrowed from friends. Victor helped, but funds weren't endless. Asking Irene felt wrong. Her money was reinvested. 6 months in, crisis hit. The bank called about missed payments, threatened legal action. I couldn't sustain this. I called Lena, demanded a meeting. She tried dodging, too busy. You know the situation. I insisted. Same cafe where she'd begged for money. Roles reversed. I begged for repayment. "Lena, I get it's tough, but I'm struggling. The bank's threatening court. I've paid 6 months out of pocket." "Andrew, just a little longer?" "Oliver's almost better. Soon full-time." "Soon? A month? 6? A year? 2? 3 months maybe?" "Lena, interest piles up. I can't cover this salary drain." Silence. Then, "What do you suggest?" "Set up a payment plan. Even 10,000 a month. Covers most of the payment." 10,000? "Andrew, that's a third of my salary. And you understand I risk losing my apartment share over this loan." A brutal argument. Lena waffled, agreed, then backtracked. We settled on 5,000 monthly, starting next month. Next month came. Nothing. I called. Oliver had complications, expensive meds, no money left. Same story the next month and the next. I realized they weren't planning to repay. Hoping I wouldn't pressure my ex-wife, fearing it'd hurt co-parenting. The bank escalated, court papers arrived, threatened asset seizure. "Andrew," Irene suggested, "what about a lawyer? Maybe force repayment?" "How? Their official incomes are low, no major assets." "Sure. A court order won't magically create cash, but you can't let this slide. They're exploiting your decency." Exploiting was putting it mildly. They'd conned me, preyed on my inability to refuse a life-or-death plea. Then came the encounter that changed everything. Friday night, Irene and I went to dinner to celebrate her second salon opening. Nice downtown spot. European cuisine, seated by the window, ordered wine, appetizers, mood upbeat. Irene talked expansion plans. I listened, proud. Then I spotted them, Lena and Oliver. Corner table, fancy wine bottle, exquisite dishes, Lena in a clearly expensive new dress, Oliver in a tailored suit. Rage spiked, dining lavishly while claiming poverty, skipping debt payments. "Something wrong?" Irene asked, noticing my expression. I nodded toward their table. "See that couple? My ex-wife and her husband. The ones who can't repay due to financial hardship." Irene looked, assessed the scene, the restaurant, the menu prices. "I see," she said calmly. "What will you do?" "Dunno. Confront them? Make a scene? Pretend I didn't see? What does your gut say?" My gut screamed confront. My head said a restaurant scene was trashy. We finished, paid, got ready. Lena spotted me, flustered, then a hesitant wave. I walked to their table. Oliver stood, offered a handshake. "Andrew, fancy meeting. How are you?" "Fine," I said, ignoring his hand. "You two seem well. Fancy dinner?" Awkward silence. Lena flushed. Oliver lowered his hand. "Andrew," Lena stammered, "it's a special occasion. Oliver's birthday. Got it. Money for gifts and celebrations, but not for debts." We agreed to start payments next month. Oliver interjected. Agreed? We agreed 4 times. Always an excuse. Tension mounted, patrons turned to watch. Then I did something surprising even to myself. I slid off my wedding ring, the one I'd worn for 15 years of marriage and kept on post-divorce, placed it on the table before Lena. You know what, Lena? My voice was calm. Carrying. This ring. I wore it 15 years believing marriage meant mutual support, honesty, decency. Turns out I was wrong. At least about you. She paled. Andrew, what's the ring got to do with... It's got to do with you begging for money for your husband's life or death surgery, claiming no one else could help. I believed you, took a loan, risked my stability. Now I see you here. And realize you just dumped your problems on someone you thought was a sucker. That's not true, Lena cried. We planned to repay. Planned? You've planned for 6 months while I paid the loan. Know how much interest I've covered? 120,000. And you're drinking 5,000 ruble wine. The whole restaurant listened now. Waiters exchanged glances. Oliver tried to speak. I cut him off. And you? Shut up. You live in an apartment I helped pay for, eat off money I earned, and still stiff me. That's called freeloading. Andrew, not here, Lena whispered. Where else? You dodge me at home. Hang up the phone. Only option is explaining publicly what great people you are. I picked up the ring, faced the room, raised my voice slightly. Ladies and gentlemen, a little life lesson. This woman, my ex-wife. 6 months ago, she begged me for 300,000 rubles for her new husband's surgery. Said it was life or death. Nowhere else to turn. I took a loan, risked my home. Surgery succeeded. He recovered. They're in no rush to repay. As you see. Money for luxury, not debts. Dead silence. All eyes on us. So I continued. This ring? I wore it 15 years believing in people's decency. Today I take it off for good, because I learned some people exploit kindness without remorse. I turned back to Lena and Oliver. Expect a court summons, no more delays. Explain it to a judge. I walked out. Irene followed, silent support. Behind us, murmurs erupted. Wow, right on, man. Poor woman, must be ashamed. Outside, Irene hugged me. How do you feel? She asked. Strange, I admitted. Made a public scene. But lighter, like shedding weight. They deserved it, she said. Can't treat people like that. Walking through the city, I processed it. For the first time in 6 months, I'd told Lena and Oliver exactly what I thought of their behavior. No yelling, no insults, just facts. And somehow it hit harder than threats. Why take off the ring? Irene asked. I looked at my hand. The pale band was still visible, but the finger felt freer. Dunno, I said honestly. Felt symbolic. A ring means fidelity, honesty, mutual support. When that's broken, the symbol loses meaning. What will you do with it? I pulled it from my pocket. Simple gold band, once placed with such hope. Sell it. Buy something useful. Like vacation tickets. For us? Irene smiled. Good idea, Lena called next day, voice shaky, near tears. Andrew, why that circus? Everyone's talking. Someone filmed it, posted it online. Why did you jerk me around for 6 months? We weren't. It is hard. Lena, last night's dinner cost more than I asked monthly. What hard situation. She paused. Fine. Let's meet. Talk properly. Nothing to discuss. Start paying or it's court. How much monthly? 10,000. Like first agreed. That's too much. 15 then. For 6 months of stalling. Are you kidding? No. Every month of delay increases the sum. Want to pay less? Start now. I hung up, sick of excuses from people living better than most. An hour later, Oliver called. Formal tone. Andrew Mikhailovich, let's settle this man to man. No drama. Fine. Settle. 10,000 monthly. First payment by week's end. Can't do less? 5? No. Could have 6 months ago. Too late now. But finances are tight. Oliver. Last night's restaurant? Average check 15,000 for 2. What tight finances? He hesitated. It was special. Special happens monthly if I don't get paid. Special like a lawsuit. Silence. Then, fine, but not 10. 8. Can't manage more. 9. Final offer. Agreed. Finally. 6 months of pleading, and only public shame made them act. First payment came 3 days later, 9,000 exactly. I was shocked, expected more excuses. But payments came regularly, 9th of every month. The restaurant shaming clearly worked. I sold the ring. A pawn shop gave 30,000 rubles. Not much, but covered flights to Turkey for Irene and me. Symbolic, Irene said when I told her. A ring from your past life. Became tickets to your new one. Turkey was perfect. Sea, sun, no worries. Irene sunbathed. I read neglected books, evening walks, seaside dinners. Andrew, Irene said one night on our hotel terrace, sunset painting the sky, ever thought about marrying again? Unexpected. We'd been together over a year. Things were great, but marriage hadn't come up. Thought about it, I admitted. You? Me too. But scared of repeating my first marriage mistake. Which was? Marrying someone I wanted to change. Thought love would make him ambitious. People don't change unless they want to. Want to change me? She looked at me intently. No, I like you as you are. Maybe that's why I'm thinking about marriage. Then what doubts? What if we become roommates too? In a few years? Feelings fade. Only habit remains. I understood. That's what happened to my first marriage. Love, then habit, then indifference. You know, I said maybe no one's immune, but we can try preventing it. Stay interested in each other, never take closeness for granted, and if it fails, then we part, honestly, like adults. She laughed, so practical, marrying with a prenup for divorce. Isn't that better? Honest from the start, not lying later. On our last morning over breakfast, I proposed, no grand gesture, just honesty. Irene, I said, marry me, just like that. No romance? We have romance daily. Proposals should be honest. What do I get as a wife? A husband who loves and respects you, won't hinder your business or growth, will support you when it's hard. Celebrate when it's good. And what do you get? A woman who makes life interesting, whose presence makes everything better. Deal, she said instantly. We married 3 months later. Small wedding, close friends. Katie was my best person. Victor was Irene's. Lena wasn't invited but sent a card and gift. Politeness, I guess. By then, half the debt was repaid. Lena and Oliver paid monthly. No delays, no excuses. The restaurant reality check worked. Post-wedding, Irene and I rented a larger downtown apartment. Victor kept his place. We stayed friends but needed our own space. Katie visited weekends, bonded with Irene, sought advice on clothes, school, boys. Irene was like a big sister, not a stepmom. Dad, Katie asked once, are you happy with Irene? Yes, I said instantly. Why? You're different. Lighter. More open. And Irene looks happy too. And Mom? Happy? Mom. I think she regrets how things ended with you sometimes. Not leaving for Oliver, but how it happened, especially the debt. Regrets? Says she felt ashamed after the restaurant. Says you had a right to judge her. Strange to hear. I wasn't angry anymore. Time dulled the hurt. Life was too good now for past grievances to matter. They paid the debt off fully in 18 months. The day the final transfer cleared, Lena called. Andrew, she said, debt's paid. Wanted to thank you for helping with the surgery back then and apologize for stalling. It's okay, Lena. Past is past. And you were right. At the restaurant, we acted terribly. Needed that wake-up call. Glad it ended well. How's your wife? Irene? Great. Business thriving. And you? Happy? Yes. You? Yeah. In my way. Oliver's good. We fit. Katie accepts him. Happy for you. Andrew. Can we be civil? No grudges? We share a child, of course. And we were. Polite. Calm. Met at school events. Katie's birthdays. Discussed parenting. 2 more years passed. Katie entered journalism school as planned, excelling, works for the student paper. Irene has 3 thriving salons. We bought an apartment mortgage, manageable. Sometimes I recall that restaurant night placing the wedding ring before my ex-wife. It felt like an ending then, turned out to be a better beginning. What I learned, people change. Not when begged, but when facing consequences. Lena and Oliver repaid not because I convinced them, but because they saw the free ride was over. And I learned not to cling to the past. Sometimes you must end one story for another to start. Remove the ring to free your hand for new possibilities. I'm 45 now. A wonderful wife, a grown daughter, fulfilling work, future plans, a life unplanned, but better than the one I'd mapped out. The ring, long gone, turned into plane tickets, new experiences, a fresh start. Sometimes the most painful decisions are the rightest ones. That's my story. Not sure if it's moralistic, but it's true. Every word. Sometimes I wonder, what if I'd stayed silent that night? Lena and Oliver likely never repaid. I'd still be paying. Resentment festering. This way? Honest. They learned I wasn't a fool to exploit. I learned to stand my ground, even when ugly. We all moved forward. A month ago, I saw Lena and Oliver at the mall. We greeted normally, chatted briefly. They looked happy. So did I. No awkwardness, no debts, just people who were once close. Now living separate lives. How are you? Lena asked. Good. You? Good too. Katie said you and Irene are trying for a baby. Trying. Irene wants a girl. Wonderful. Katie'll love being a big sister, even a half one. We talked a minute more, parted. No one owed anyone anything, no bitterness, just people who'd once been family. Now good acquaintances. I told Irene about it that evening. You don't regret how the first marriage ended? She asked. No, I said truthfully. Just regret pretending so long that things were fine when they weren't. Should have admitted the feelings were gone sooner. And if you had? Maybe parted without resentment. Katie hurt less by our hypocrisy. But now you have experience. Know what not to repeat. Know. Won't live on inertia. Won't lie to myself or loved ones. Won't pretend things are fine when they're not. And what will you do? Keep being interesting to each other. Keep surprising and being surprised. And if something feels wrong, talk. Immediately. Not endure it for years. Deal, said Irene, kissing me. That's how we live. Honestly, openly, without illusions, but with hope. So far, so good. The ring? Saw one just like it in a jewelry store recently. Felt a pang to buy it, wear it again. Then I thought, why? Symbols matter, but don't be their slave. Love isn't a ring on a finger, it's how you treat someone. Fidelity isn't vows, it's actions. I have a different ring now. Simpler, more honest. Its story will be different too, hopefully, happier.